Alright, so you've seen the title and you're thinking, what the fuck is this game? Why is it such a big buzz as far as like the mobile game community is going right now? This game is going to be kind of like the next big popular one, I think. You know, when you think about big games right now, you think Epic 7, you think Dragalia, some people think FGO, and then a lot of people right now think Arknights. Well, 7 Deadly Sins is going to be one of the next big competitors, having a very good plethora of some PvE modes, as well as quite a bit of PvP focus. And I just kind of wanted to delve into a lot of the systems going on for people who don't really know anything about the game at the moment. Now, I'm not making some big claim to fame, like I'm the know-it-all professional in this game, no, but I think I have some knowledge that I can impart on people who don't really know anything about the game yet. So, first things first, let's go ahead and jump into some combat. As you can see here, we actually have this big world map, which is how the story mode is kind of going to play out, as well as a lot of the quests that you're going to do, like your farming dungeons, getting some materials, some gold and whatnot like that. So let's just jump into a random one. You can go ahead and spam click right there to make Mama-san here move a little faster, and we'll go ahead and just jump straight into a quest. So here in combat, you're going to have a party of 4 members. You're going to have 3 in your front line and then 1 in your back line in case one falls out, so you can go ahead and pop them out. Let's turn off auto here real quick, and you're going to see you're going to get a deck of cards here at the bottom of the screen. Now, each one of these is going to start at rank 1, but if you want to make them a higher rank, you can go ahead and move some cards around and then put them right next to each other. They're going to go to a rank 2, so it's going to be 2 rank 1s next to each other to make a rank 2, and then 2 rank 2 cards together to make a rank 3. And all this is going to do is going to like boost multipliers, and it might have some additional effects based on the ranking of the cards. And you can go ahead and reset here. It's usually better to not waste one of your turns here to move cards necessarily. That is going to take up a turn actually moving cards. So we're just going to go and try and put some cards together slowly. And as these empty out during our next turn, we're going to go ahead and refill our hand with some new cards here. You can just see all of the animations going on here. Very wonderfully animated game. I think that that's going to be one of the strong things that it's going to boast, both in the story and the gameplay itself. In the story, cutscenes and whatnot, if you haven't seen the anime, if you haven't, I think this is not a terrible way to go ahead and witness kind of the anime for the first time, because they do one of the most exceptional bang-up jobs as far as like animating cutscenes and whatnot, in my opinion. So we're just going to go ahead, put some cards together, and I would like to put those 2 cards together, but we'll go ahead and skip out on that. You're also going to see that these cards also have these little icons here right in the top corner. This is going to be like a small notifier that you're really going to, learn more as you play the game, but these essentially mean buffs, debuffs, and then just kind of your regular damage attacks. And these icons can change based on the rank they go on. Like this ability right here of Esterosa's, if you get it up to rank 2, it'll turn into a debuff actually. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and pop myself off, and we're just going to take a look at the gameplay by itself for a little bit, just so you can kind of get a feel of how the flow of combat is going to go. Alright, we're going to pop myself back in just to show. We do have this little ultimate guard here. You can see that these little orbs are going to fill up slowly over combat. These are going to go up based on the cards that combine together. So when cards combine together, you're going to get an orb to fill up. And when you use the cards individually, you're going to get them to fill up as well. So we can see Elizabeth is at max. So next turn, as long as we have a free space open, we're going to go ahead and throw in one of our ultimate cards. And then you can see here that Gil Thunder is almost ready. So we're going to go ahead and throw in one of Gil Thunder's abilities as well. We'll just go ahead and do that. Then pop out Esterosa's ultimate, so you can go ahead and take a look at that. And because these are both going to be AoEs, so going to be some good damage putting out here. In fact, it might kill, I'm not sure. It's been a hot while since I've actually grinded in this game, so there you go. Honestly, I think Esteros is one of the worst shows of an ultimate, because his animation is kind of boring, and unfortunately he did go ahead and wipe out the team. We'll go ahead and look at some of the other ultimates later on.
これがあなたの本気です。では私の番ですね。ゲームオーバーです。
That is the basics of the combat right there, and you're gonna be doing that pretty much for all the content, you know, as far as PvP and PvE goes right there. A big focus of this game is going to be a lot of team building, so that's going to be your main focus as far as like building up different teams, and you're going to need a lot of separate teams for a lot of different pieces of content, whether it's going to be farming through the story, just farming, you know, your enhancement quests like gold and enhancement materials. They're going to need or want their own separate teams from maybe your story mode team. You're going to want, you know, your PvP teams. This is going to be both gearless, so no gear on your units, PvP, and then geared PvP teams, and then you're going to have things like your red demon, your gray demon, and your other various raids. Those are all kinds of raids, which we won't get too in-depth into since this is a beginner's guide. You can see right here, I already have an invitation into one of the new demons right here. On the start screen here, you're going to see that we have up at the top, we're going to have gold, we're going to have our stamina, and we're going to have our gems, so the premium currency right there. Gold, very important. This is how you're going to upgrade all of your units, how you're going to upgrade all of your gear. You never have enough of this, I will tell you that right now. Gold is a resource that becomes very scarce. It might seem like a million is a lot. It's really not. That'll disappear in a flash. And stamina, fortunately, I wasn't able to catch it right when it was about to recharge, but the stamina refill rate is actually super quick. I think it's like, maybe it's like 2 or 3 minutes every stamina. So really, really fast stamina recovery rate. And even though it has a stamina system, the game makes it very easy for you to go ahead and grind infinitely in the game, which we'll take a look at in a minute. In fact, let's go ahead and just jump straight into stamina. Right now we're in the shop screen, and the important one we're going to go to is the coin shop. Now this is going to be an important aspect to go over, but ultimately I just want to look over stamina right now real quick. And that is going to be, not these coins, these silver coins right here. So there's going to be 3 rarities in the game. There's going to be rare, which is going to be the silver super rare, and then the SSR, which are the rainbows over here. And these coins you get from different dupes of units. So a dupe is going to turn into 1 coin. See, I have 80 dupes right here. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this item right here. This is a stamina recovery pot. This is going to give you a full stamina refresh right here for 1 rare dupe. And pulling in this game, you're going to get a lot of rare dupes. Not only are you going to get a lot of rare dupes, the game is actually fairly generous so far, at least as far as the JP version is concerned, with the amount of gems that you're going to get just by playing the game, you know, whether it's story, login bonuses, things of that nature. You're going to get a lot of coins, and these coins are going to turn in, they're going to be the dupes, so you're going to pick which dupes you want to go ahead and sacrifice. So we'll go ahead and get rid of, I forget what his name is, Leone, the order of the whatever from the beginning of the show. And boom, I traded 1 dupe for 1 stamina refresh pot, and then it's going to give me a full recover. So you're going to get, obviously, more bang for your buck as you get your rank up and you get this cap up. But even still, you know, early on, like I said, you get out of this game as much as you end up putting into it. Alright, we're going to talk about some of the more important screens that you're going to be looking into, which is going to be your specific unit screens and all the different upgrades you're going to do. So there's going to be a whole lot to upgrade in here. Over here, we're going to start with the friendship little meter. And as you get this up, you're going to get a few different rewards here. At the end, you're going to get a little costume reward. So he's going to get a new piece of hair. Which, yes, there are outfits and costumes. They do have stat bonuses on them. And there are quite a few free-to-play options, as well as getting a lot of costumes just by ranking your units up. You're also going to see the different cards over here, and you can go and check out the different details at the ranks that they're at if you need to check on all of those, as well as some little bonuses here for ranking up the units themselves. First button right here is going to be the XP, so I'm going to use these XP pots to go ahead and level him up. He's already at cap right now, as far as I can get him at the moment at least. The next one is going to be raising his level cap. So this is going to be, originally you're going to get a unit from, you know, if you pulled a unit at rare, you can upgrade it to an SR and then an SSR, and then the final rank a UR. Now you don't pull units at a UR rate, but you can get every unit up to a UR. And then once you get there, then you can go up beyond this cap by getting even more materials. Next tab right here is going to be your little like energy orbs. If you've seen the show, you know, Meliodas shatters the orb and gets some of his strength back. That's what's going to happen with all of these different units here. Another separate kind of material right here that we're going to use, and you're going to unlock these different orbs, and it'll show you the base stat upgrades that you're going to get right there. This one is going to be your card upgrade mechanic. So you're going to upgrade your ultimate card by using dupes of this, and as you upgrade the ultimate card, obviously it's going to get stronger. All the abilities, or the multipliers on it, are going to get higher and higher. As well as just a little bit, not so much a beginner mechanic, but you do equip your units with sub-units, and the sub-units that you equip to those units, they will actually give more and more bonus stats, the higher you end up getting this ultimate card rating up. And then the meat of it all right here is the gear. This is where a lot of your CP is going to come from. Obviously, everything else is going to be very important, but gear is probably going to be the most complex. We're not going to go too in-depth with gear today, maybe on another video, but essentially, you are going to want to go for base stats. Now, why is base stats so important? Base stats are important because, one, you're going to be, boosting a lot of damage and a lot of your defensive stats. So, strength is very important. It's going to boost everything. Of course, crit rate and crit damage, all that stuff is important. The big problem with crit rate and crit damage in this game is that it's not going to affect your overall CP, and your overall CP is really important when it comes to both PvE and PvP, because whatever team ends up having the higher amount of CP is the team that is going to go first. So, especially when it comes to something like PvP, that's going to be super important as far as building all of your strategies going forward, and you are primarily going to be building a lot more, kind of like cleave comps and whatnot, trying to do as much damage as possible, rather than going for defensive options there. So that is why CP is so important and why your base stats are going to be so important to go for. All these pieces of gear are going to have the same base stats on these pieces of gear. So no matter what, this bracer right here is always going to have a flat attack stat right here. And no matter what, this ring right here is always going to have this flat attack stat as well. These will never change, but these can fluctuate between a bunch of random numbers. So you can see right here, if I click on this ring at this rarity, its base stat is going to fluctuate between 60 and 80. And you can see this ring has been rolled at a 77. And you can go ahead and click it, and I can re-roll it with some gold right there. Unfortunately, with the SSR gear, though, when you want to re-roll these base stats specifically, you're going to take gems to re-roll these. So that is kind of why we're doing this basic setup. Like I said, I can go in depth on this in another video, but that's kind of why you're seeing all these rares over here and not over here. Getting into the details of the gear, we'll go into another piece of gear that might actually have some more substats going for it. There we go, this ring has some more substats going for it. So here you can see at the common rating, this goes from common, uncommon, rare, SR, and then SSR. And so here, the base stat, I can go ahead and re-roll that, and then as I continue to level this up and then get these ratings up and get these stars up, I'm going to unlock more substat slots, and you can see here I've all rolled for, if you can tell, all just one name. This is all just straight into the strength stat, and each piece of gear is going to be able to roll its own kind of set of stats. This can roll like attack, and then here I rolled on my earrings for just nothing but defense, just because of something like attack not being in those substat rolls. And then specifically when it comes to these substats, you can also re-roll all these from the range at the bottom here up to, at least specifically for attack here, it's going to be up to 3%. I can go ahead and use gold. I can go ahead and use these anvils right here. Definitely do not use these anvils on anything below SSR. And then your hammers right here, which is just going to upgrade these stats slowly, but it's not going to completely re-roll it. Whereas if I use these down here, it's just going to completely re-roll it. It could go back, it can go up, but this is just going to make it go up. That is just very crude gear basics right there. And then the costumes right here. As you can see here, when I got this unit originally, I pulled Esterosa here, I got this skin, and then when I got him up to UR, I unlocked this separate skin right here. So pretty neat, and then you can get these skins from like the shops. Some of you can get out of like certain kind of raids and whatnot. Really cool, and then you can see that they do have stats tied to them. I believe you can equip up to like 3 costumes, and then you can just throw one on cosmetically instead. And then you can see over here that we also have different types of skins, so I can get a different type of weapon skin. Then up here like headgear, so I can put on this goofy hat on Esterosa, which just looks fantastic. Look at that. That is beautiful. Alright, let's go ahead and jump into the shops, as there are a bunch of them here. Up here is a newly added shop right now. There is a new raid going on. I'm not going to click on it because there is a bit of spoilers as far as that if you're concerned with that. So I'm going to skip over this one, but this is like an event shop going on right now. The next shop right here is the Leone shop. Here I can go ahead and spend gold or these keys that you get through different rewards to go ahead and roll for these different things. Like, these are going to be like your weapon upgrade materials. I can get different pieces of gear out of these rolls, as well as those like hammers and anvils, which is going to be a good spot to go ahead and get those early on, as hammers and anvils aren't going to be necessarily super easy to run across for newer players, which are going to be very, very important as far as upgrading your SSR gear goes. And then just going down the list, you're going to get these chests for running different versions of PvP, and then you can see here, boom, I have these 5 green chests right here. We'll go ahead and roll 5 of them real quick, skip past that, and just an example of what you can get out of these PvP chests. I can get this, which is a weapon upgrading material, and then these are some accessories right here, and these do have some specific like sets that are going to be specific to like the PvP only chests right here. So An example of this would be like with Epic 7, so with Esteros you saw I had 4 pieces of gear that had the sword icon on them, which gives me just a strength boost, whereas this one would be whatever this boost is right here if I had however many pieces of gear you need equipped onto it. So this one is a 2 set for critical defense, so if I had 2 pieces of gear equipped with this icon here, I would go ahead and get this stat boost right here, which is the critical defense boost. Alright, next down the shop, into Elizabeth's shop. This is going to be like your cash shop. You can find all these different kinds of bundles and whatnot to go for. Whole lot of like paid options to go for. Of course, Netmarble's going to throw, you know, the packs at you like no other. Look at all these packs. I will say though, when you compare it to something like their MMOs like L2R and whatnot, these packs are very harmless compared to them. And overall, I think there's a lot of value in some of these packs here, and not so much value out of some of the other packs. So at your own discretion there. Next is the end shop. This is just going to be, you know, just straight up gems right there. Usually you're probably going to want, especially if you're not like a whale, you're mostly going to want to just buy packs out of here. Less so much out of these gems unless they have maybe some sales going on and whatnot. Then here at Gother's shop, we're going to have the different skins that are on sale at the moment. So here you can see we have Derriere's different outfits on sale. And then if we click on different tabs, then we can see I have a bunch of weapons that I can go ahead and get through here, as well as just some other skins that might be going on sale at the moment, as well as some headpieces, all that, you know, just a bunch of costume stuff right here. And yes, a lot of these are paid costumes. Without getting too in-depth into it, there are also a lot of costumes that you, like I said, you can farm out of different raids and whatnot. Then going back into the coin shop, this is going to be a very important place for a lot of players here. Like I said, when you have these rare dupes here, you can go ahead and buy a bunch of stuff, but the big thing that you're mostly going to want to save these rare coins for is going to be these little stamina pots. Of course, you can get some other things, like you can see up here they have a rotating sale of units, so they have some units going on over here, some SR units, or a couple notable ones that I would say that could be useful sometimes, but not typically always. Like this dude, I don't remember his name whatsoever, but he can be useful for something like Red Demon early on if you don't have other characters to use for it. And here with your SR coins, your gold coins, you can go ahead and once again buy a bunch of things. Typically you just want to skip over buying anything that isn't, as far as characters go, anything that is not going to be on sale up here. So you got some SSRs to pick from. You got a few good choices right here, like the Hauser right here, pretty good, and he's on sale right now. So there are some good gets to get out of this shop for sure. And the SSR coin shop, this one is super huge right here, especially for a lot of newer players when you don't have a whole lot of units. Maybe you keep pulling a dupe of some unit that you don't want to use those dupes on to level up that ultimate gauge or that ultimate card on. All of your dupes are going to go into here. And this is how you're going to end up filling your roster out, you know, just filling in the gaps here with a lot of really excellent units. They actually put some great units here on the coin shop. Unfortunately, we don't know who's going to be here at Global just yet, but it's only a little short ways away. We'll go over some of these units real quick. Now, they do have things like these pendants and these tickets here on sale. Typically, I would recommend against these, as, you know, you don't know what you're going to get. This is completely random as far as these tickets go, and you're trading 3 dupes at least for these, and then these pendants. That you can get these over time. Of course, if you're a mega whale, then you can just buy these as much as you want, honestly. But for the most part, as far as like free to play and cheap to play goes, you're going to be buying units. Big units you want to aim for. I'd say in my personal order, I'd probably go Gother. This is a hard pick for me. Gother, Merlin, Bond. Gother absolutely, in my opinion, should be your first pick. He can be used in a lot of different pieces of content, and that should be a really big important thing to consider when it comes to units going into the future. Is what do you get out of these units? You know, they could be great units on paper, but how useful are they as far as fitting into the meta of different pieces of content like PvE, PvP, different raids, and whatnot? So probably be Gother, Merlin, Bond. And then Escanor is always an amazing pick. You know, you could honestly probably pick Escanor over any of these if you really wanted to. And then those would probably be the big gets. And I think, yeah, that's about it. They started adding some new stuff into this shop. Also, never buy any of these if they're outside of rotation unless you're a whale, because these are, obviously, you can see the price here down here. When not on sale, this bond is 7 whole SSR dupes, whereas on sale, he's going to be 5 coins. So definitely only buy those on sale if you can. And then last we have this Merlin shop here. This is just gonna be buying some like very basic things right here for some gems right here. So you can buy some stamina. You can open up some of your dungeons here, your farming dungeons and whatnot. You can get some trust points and whatnot. Only important one out of this, in my strong opinion, is going to be stickers for the online raids, because who the hell doesn't need more goddamn stickers? All right, and before we get too in depth into some more content. This is gonna be a bit of a doozy. When you go ahead and take a look at the gacha, you can see we have a bunch of banners going on. So the current featured banner going on is the new unit, Derriere, the new hotness that just came out. Then the banners will probably look a little different as far as the global version goes. It just depends on where they end up releasing the game at. So right now, you can see that a lot of the SSR pool, they actually split into 2 different pools on the JP side. So we have part 1, which just has its own like slate of SSR units, typically like the earlier ones that came out. And then part 2, which is where the rest of them are going to end up being. So like a lot of the newer units, a lot of the 10 commandments and whatnot are going to be here. You can see that some of the banners, they rotate them out occasionally. Are going to get this daily pull where you can spend 1 just quick gem for it. So we can go ahead and just do 1 real quick pull right here. And we'll just go ahead and show off what the gacha looks like. Now there are a lot of different tells as far as the gacha animation goes. I think there's guides out there for you, but just know that a lot of the different things that you're going to see, as far as like here, like the first stage of Demon Meliodas going on right here, a lot of these typically don't mean jack shit as far as the rarity of your unit goes. You can see this animation is going to play out every time unless you hit the skip button. But in my opinion, this is pretty dope. It's very reminiscent of like the older games, kind of like Dokkan and whatnot. Go ahead and pull it down, do a full counter. And Baba Booey, we got probably jack shit. It looks like a rare. Boom, we got a rare. I forget your name. See, we got our dupe coin right there. What a lot of the gacha looks like. We'll go ahead and use these last 30 gems once we're done with it, but I wanted to show off right here the rates. So these rates are going to be very fluctuating between banners, but you can see a 3% SSR rate, a 37% SR rate, and then the rest into rare. So like I said, bunch of rare dupes there for those stamina potions. You can see the individual rates as well as all the pictures next to them. They actually just added these pictures, which is a super neat thing. You can see the actual individual rates as well as who is on the rate up. These, at the moment in JP, these 3 right here rotate every day. And you can go ahead and check out the different rates on these different banners. So like, these ones have 0.35 for each of these individual units. Whereas Derriere, who came out with 2 units, is going to take up 1% of that 3% SSR rate. So just depending on what you're going to be aiming for, you're going to want to actually pay attention to all those different rates with the different banners. Alright, now some of the different modes that we can go ahead and get into. We can see here that we have a lot of them, and some of these ones that are locked at the moment, we're not going to be going over anyway, because these aren't quite beginner. These aren't quite going to be, for beginners just yet. And when you get deeper into the game and when you get ready to do these kinds of things like the training dungeon, you'll have a lot more knowledge about the game. From the top, we have the SP dungeons. This is going to be quite a few different things. So we can see up here, we have this pendant farming dungeon up here. We have some XP pots. These are going to be upgrading materials for your characters, as well as the pendants. These kind of go hand in hand, but these pendants are going to be super hard to get your hands on. So definitely want to make sure you're running these every day. And these gold chests down here. Starting from the top, we're going to have our Pendant Dungeon. Now, this is going to be one of your most limiting resources. Why? Because you're only going to have 5 of these little tokens here. And it takes, I forget how long it is, but it is a few hours before any of these restore. You're not going to get much more than 5 runs out of a day. Unless you have some things where you can refresh, like we have these little tokens here that I can go ahead and refresh those with. And you pick to spend whichever ones you want to spend these on. So from the top, XP pots, gold, and then these kind of upgrading materials. The one I would recommend you spend these most on is going to be the gold dungeon, because this is the only one that you aren't. Gold is the only thing you aren't going to be able to farm out of these dungeons constantly with stamina. Gold actually needs either these tokens or the gold keys that we'll look at in a little bit. So you can go ahead and check the drop rate here real quick. You can see the SSR pendants, which are, like I said, your most limiting resource, 2% drop rate. And you can only run this pretty much a little over 5 times a day if you just stay on top of it. That's not very high. Fortunately enough, when you run these dungeons, this meter will fill up and you'll get a guaranteed one every once in a while. So that's why it's really important to stay on top of your pendant dungeons. Down here, this is just going to change between your elements as far as these arrows go, but it's going to be essentially the same thing. And you can see also with the little fill-up gauge, so you can see what kind of reward you get. So I'm going to get this this high tier XP pot right here for running these dungeons and filling that meter up. And these 2 dungeons down the middle are actually going to be able to take stamina, so you can actually farm both these books that you're going to need to awaken your characters infinitely, as well as the experience potion, so not a big deal there. Reason why I said to pick gold as far as farming your pendant dungeon goes is because these can be farmed infinitely. The only other place you can farm these gold boxes that you end up selling is down here, which is going to take these keys. These keys refresh at 1 every hour, I believe, so you get at a cap of 10, refreshing every hour. Once again, you get the fill-up gauge, and then you can go ahead and farm up for these gold boxes here. But yeah, like I said, can't fill it up with stamina, where you can just spend your rare dupes on them. So in my opinion, when you're farming Pendant Dungeon and whatnot, make sure you're farming gold. Gold, you never have enough of it. Never, never. And this equipment tab is more just a kind of quality of life thing. So this is kind of just going to shortcut you around as you unlock these different stages throughout the story. And you can see that I can go ahead and farm up this quest here for a guaranteed piece of gear that kind of rotates for each specific set. So if I want to just farm nothing but attack sets, I can go ahead and click on the attack. And then I can click which piece of gear that I want to farm. So it'll directly take me to one of these stages where I can go ahead and farm said piece of gear, as well as these rotating quests here that I can go ahead and do. If I do this stage here, it says 8 times I'm going to get this guaranteed piece of earrings. And then these quests, like I say, rotate. So then it'll move on to like the little amulet here. Amulet? That's not a fucking amulet. It's an orb or something. I can move on to this orb here, do 8 of whatever quest it is, and then I'll get the guaranteed orb, and then I'll move on, and so on and so forth. It'll kind of just keep cycling, so I can go ahead and at least get those guarantees, or I can just sit and farm, whatever piece of gear that I want to farm, unlimited times, basically. And then I can switch which piece of gear set I want. So I want defense, and I'm looking for a defense ring right here. I click the ring, boom, it takes me straight to the stage where I can go ahead and farm up chances to go ahead and get that defensive ring right there. Boss dungeons. Once again, this isn't quite beginner. We're only going to go into this just very briefly, but essentially throughout the story you're going to unlock these different dungeons. You unlock your first ones, I believe, at Chapter 5. Chapter 5 or the finish of Chapter 5, something like that. And you're going to unlock the Red Demon. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to one of these. This is a raid that you're going to end up being able to do with other people online. So here you can see I have 1 out of 1. So if I were to farm up these quests right here, there's a chance that I'm going to spawn this Red Demon. When I spawn him, he's going to end up immediately appearing on the world map right there on whatever dungeon I was farming. And then I can go ahead and take him on, invite some friends, go ahead and bash that out. And then it's done. This dungeon has its 1 spawn for the day. It's all finished up. So if we go ahead and go back, take a look at these dungeons again real quick. So I have all these different dungeons here that you unlock through the story. And each one I can spawn one of these raids at 1 time each. So 1 time every day I can go ahead and spawn up to 6 raids. Now you can also be invited to more raids through, your friends list and whatnot. And they can go ahead and get you more of these uses so you can continue to farm these raids there. So it's really good to go ahead and farm with a bunch of friends. Make sure you're throwing those out to people that you know, so that way that you are more likely, or organize these things so you can go ahead and get more of these raids out of the way. An important thing as far as when the global version hits, we probably won't have the next level of demon unlocked just yet, but if we do, I highly recommend for starting players to just stop farming the story once you unlock the Red Demon, and kind of just farming out the Red Demon, and don't go too farther into the story. Don't unlock the next chapter. If you end up unlocking the next chapter, you're actually going to end up changing the spawn rate. So right now, I'm sitting at a 100% spawn rate for the Red Demon. If I continue the story, I'm going to then also start spawning in Gray Demons, which is going to require a whole other strategy. It's going to take a whole other team, and I'm going to be able to farm up different kinds of materials for it. An important thing for farming Red Demons is farming up these materials that are going to help me enhance my characters here. So if I go back over to Esterosa here, I want to farm up Red Demon so I can continue to get these horns here, which I'm not going to get off of the off of the Gray Demon. I want to continue to farm these up with whatever my Red Demon team is. So that way I can continue to boost up my units, and once I kind of am comfortable with that, then I would want to progress and move on towards the Gray Demon there. And then the last bit of content I want to go into here is going to be the PvP. Now, like I said, there's going to be 2 different versions of PvP. There's going to be gearless and there's going to be geared. When you first unlock PvP, you're only going to have access to gearless until you get up to a certain rank in gearless PvP, and then you'll be able to unlock a geared PvP. And oh my gosh, somebody was flexing right there. They had a Rimuru right there. There you go, boom. I don't really do PvP at the moment, so those were my rewards I got weekly, and we can go ahead and check those. And the important part for gearless PvP is gems. Now, gems. This is going to be one of your biggest resources for gems, is here in gearless PvP. You can see my rank here. The big bang-up job I do for this season. It shows that I have not competed whatsoever. I've done like 1 or 2 PvP matches. But you can see I'm at the bottom rank, and it shows every week when this resets, I'm going to get 10 gems and then 12 of these PvP chests. And then I can go all the way up, and if I, keep at it with the gearless PvP, I can get all the way up to the top rank. And I'll be getting these bangers, these 60 gems. Boom. Once a week, I could be getting 60 gems. That is 2 multis right there just for, keeping my place in the PvP rankings, as well as 56 of these PvP chests. So I get a lot of resources out of these chests right here. I can go ahead and break down those pieces of gear for more materials to go ahead and upgrade other pieces of gear. And then I get my multis. Bang. PvP is not necessarily something you're going to have to participate in if you really don't like PvP, but I would at least highly recommend, at least in gearless, ranking yourself up as high as you can so you can go ahead and get those gems. And then I believe these are geared PvP rewards where you can get these coins and you're going to get this gold. And then as far as I know, that those coins that you get from the geared PvP is just for these different PvP specific sets that you can get out of this guy right here. So yeah, in my opinion, I think the most important set of PvP for everybody to focus on at least would be gearless. And one of your best friends going into the game is going to be the 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross database right here. As I said at the beginning, I'm not, some professional that, is going to be able to teach you everything to know about the game. And if you want to stay up to date on everything that you need to know or want to know, I'd highly recommend this website. I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description below. So you can go ahead and kind of base your rerolls off this. It has a tier list, has some guides and whatnot. Just an awesome resource right here. The only thing I'm going to add in is just my own personal little thing that I think you should be the units that I think you should reroll for, and I'll go ahead and put pictures of them up all over here. In fact, actually, we'll just go ahead and take a look at the characters themselves. And wow, is this actually a confirmed unit tier list, or units in the global version? That's crazy. So if the Grand Cross database is correct, I'm going to go ahead and look through these units here and then just kind of pick the ones that I think you should personally reroll for. You can also just use their own tier list if you want to use that instead. Like I said, I think these people, whoever runs this, are also super intelligent people and know a hell of a lot more about the game than me. So, this is just my own personal take. First on the list is going to be Red Gother. Red Gother is going to be important for a lot of pieces of content just because of this one ability right here, and that is going to be Invasion Arrow. Now, there are other great abilities here, but the big thing about Gother is the fact that Gother is going to make everybody else on your team just better. So you can see at rank 1, Invasion Arrow is going to increase the skill rank of one ally. So I had another character's, arrow shot here. I can go ahead and just use this, pick an ally, and then boom. I boosted up the rank from 1-star to 2-star, 2-star, 3-star, etc., etc. Whatever cards I end up having in my hand right there. And then at rank 2, increase the skill ranks of all allies. This is super great, not only to synergize on your own team, but especially when it comes to raids and whatnot. This is going to apply to everybody there. Everybody's going to get a big boost right there. And then at rank 3, increase the basic stats of all allies by 20% for 3 turns, increases the skill rank of all allies. Now, probably less important to use that 3-star since it is a big investment there. But that is the big reason you want to get Gother. Gother's going to be used for almost everything. You can use Gother in almost everything, which is why it's such a great character to get. Of course, also in the coin shop if you don't want to end up rerolling for Gother specifically. Up next is Green Meliodas, otherwise known as Counter Meliodas. Now, this is going to be a character. You should get a free roll at the beginning of the game, and there's going to be like a small pool of units that you can get out of it. And Green Meliodas is probably the number one unit that you want to get out of that pool right here. Green Meliodas is really great for primarily Outburst Counter. Assumes a stance that triggers one time when attacked, inflicting damage equal to 100% of HP diminished for max HP via counter, and then this just damage equal up to 250% of blah blah blah. Big boost, basically, the more his HP goes down. Maybe that's enemy's HP. Not 100% sure, but Green Meliodas is going to be great for a lot of different pieces of content, specifically story, and I believe he's also used as kind of a really very niche unit, but a very great niche unit as far as Grey Demon is concerned. So Green Meliodas, another really solid pick right there. Now, this Green Nunchuck Bond specifically is going to be an excellent unit, primarily because he is going to be one of your best AoE damage units, also in the coin shop, once again, if you want to get him out of the coin shop instead. But super great on AoE damage. It's pretty much his whole thing, so you can see here Drain. Inflicts however much damage on all enemies, also does lifesteal and damage on all enemies. Here you can do Extort, which is decreasing the target stats and taking it for yourself. So Snatch, if you've seen the show at all, he's taking the enemy's stats and making it his own. Then you can see right here, Fox Hunt, we're going to go ahead once again, and snatch some more stats, and then do a bunch of damage. Big thing though, of course, going to be his AoE. Really, really huge. So really great for just farming a lot of content in general and speeding up, when you're farming up, gold chests and whatnot, doing your pendants, your XP, all that jazz. When you're just, farming up AoE units are going to be really great for that. One other mechanic I forgot to mention is that some characters are also going to have different changes in their ultimate ability. So if we equip him with one of these Jerichos down here, then he's going to be able to change his attack to this combined attack, and then mix up their abilities a little bit like that. If you want a different specific farming AoE, you don't like Bond for whatever reason, you want to pick somebody else, you can also go for this Red Hauser right here. Also just really good as far as like a farming composition would go. Does a lot of AoE damage right here. And then the last one would be either red or blue. Looks like, according to this list, might only be a red Demon Meliodas at the moment. But red Demon Meliodas is going to be great because he's going to be one of the highest, if not the highest, single target damage unit in the game. Going to be really great for, once again, a lot of pieces of content here. But yeah, it can be super solid in just about anywhere you end up putting him in. Obviously, he's going to fall short as far as some other different content goes. Like, you probably don't want red Demon Meliodas as far as like a farming team goes. But just a super great unit right here. Also, once again, another coin shop unit. So you can also use this as just kind of like your list of, well, I might have pulled this unit. Who should I get with my coins now? Then we're going to go over just a couple of the low rarity units. Not ones you would reroll for, but just ones to keep in mind other than just your, your big bang up SSRs. One is going to be SR Gil Thunder here. Going to do some AoE damage on his S1 as well as doing bonus damage against enemies that have buffs on themselves. And the big thing from him is specifically going to be his second card, Lightning Power, which is just going to be a big attack buff on the whole team. Really useful there. Also down the road, when you get him up to a certain amount of CP, you're going to unlock a quest so you can unlock his passive here, the Lightning King's Magic. Increases all allies' defense-related stats by 30% in PvP, so also could be useful in PvP. As far as throwing him in the backline, this passive will affect all of your units on the front line, even if he is just in the backline, so useful there. Next unit is going to be Leone. Now, Leone, once again, only really useful for one thing, and that is going to be Charge Knights. His passive, same deal with Gil Thunder. Once you get him a certain amount of CP, he's going to unlock this quest to unlock this. Increases HP attribute allies' attack-related stats by 10%, so just a good boost, not specifically to any piece of content here, just increases those attack stats by 10%. I believe that the HP attribute is going to be the green color right here. Then the last one to go over is just going to be the green and red Ellie-Hawk here. I believe the green one is the one that you get off at the beginning of the game. First skill is going to inflict a defense debuff, does some single target damage, and then the second one is going to do an AoE attack. So, pretty solid to have right there. Really cheap to get up as far as the lower units. Lower rarity units are overall going to be easier to get up than your SSR units. And then the red Ellie-Hawk here. She's going to do a lot of single target damage here. The big thing though, she's going to have fill up. This is going to be really important for Red Demon, specifically the Red Demon raid that we were going over very briefly. Fill up increases basic stats by 10% at the start of the next turn if the hero doesn't take damage. A big mechanic that you're going to go for when it comes to the Red Demon is just keeping him debuffed and paralyzed the entire fight. So that's going to be through petrifying and freezing, and he's not really going to be able to react to that. And that's why this unit is so great, because over time you're just going to slowly boost up all of her stats as long as she isn't taking damage, and she's just going to be a really great asset there. That about wraps up everything I wanted to go over today. Like I said, super beginner guide for people who don't really know what the game is about and kind of want to get a good idea of what the game is going to look like and what they should kind of be doing as far as the beginning of the game goes. Like I said, I'm not the only person nor the best person to look to. I will offer resources down below, as well as some of the YouTubers who I watched and helped me out a little bit as far as playing the Japanese version went. Super knowledgeable people there. Let me know what you guys thought. I'm interested in covering the game, so we'll wait and see, but global release is just around the corner. I'm pretty excited. I've been playing this just a little bit, mostly because I knew I was going to be playing over on the global side anyway. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one.